that on the three dots there?
Yeah, I can do that. But I'll have to do that after I do my other part.
All right,
Um,
we're
I can
live.
get that. I'll get it straightened out for sure. And Ellen, I
Okay.
just want you to know I terrorized your what was the name of the for the domain name today? I was on with I did a bunch with them today and got everything all straightened out finally. So
Oh, nice. With name T. Okay.
yeah, I put a good review for you as well.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Awesome. All right, we're live, Harlequin. You want to take it?
okay. We are being recorded and live streamed and we're good to go. Okay, hello everybody. My name is Harlequin Murray. I am your co-host this evening, as I always am on Monday nights, and we got more people coming in. But for those of you who are new here tonight and this is your first time joining us, welcome. We're excited to get to know you and to work with you, and are looking forward to seeing what you can do and seeing what we can do to help you. But anyways, is Ellen Wynn's team. I am a part of that team, and most everybody on here is as well. We do occasionally invite other people to join us, but for the most part, it's our team. So, anyways, for those of you who are new and don't know Ellen, just a little bit about her. She grew up on her family's farm in Dallas, Georgia, not Texas, and has was born and raised there and still lives on part of the property today. But she has a very long background in business ownership. She started out in the restaurant industry, worked her way up with Domino's up to managing most of the dominoes in the state of Georgia. She was responsible for training, operations, all those fun things. And then she decided, you know what? I've had enough of corporate life and I'm going to go and start my own business. So she went and started her own pizza restaurant. It was Wynn's Pizza. She had a couple of different locations, and I'm thoroughly bummed that I never got a chance to go to it, but such is life. Anyway, she left the pizza industry, and today she's still a business owner. She owns a limousine company that she's had for over 10 years. She's got a DAC business owner. She's been with DAC for over 7.5 years now. And she owns an insurance agency, and she's a landlord, which she's my landlord as well. But yeah, so she's done a lot of different things in the business arena. She's also been very strong in the network marketing arena. That's how I initially met her 20 years ago. And, with that, she was in charge of training for the entire company. So she's got a strong background in training, and we're fortunate to take advantage of that. But anyways, Miss Ellen, with no further ado, I'm going to let you take over again.
Thank you, Harlequin. I appreciate that. I always appreciate you taking time to be here to co-host with me and make sure my phone's not going to be ringing. And for those of you that are here live, I appreciate you taking time out of your Monday evening to be here with us. If you're watching on replay, thank you for that as well. Really, it's not so much about investing in the team and the Zoom here. It's about investing in your business and what you do. Harlequin, I was listening to your introduction about my pizza restaurant. Funny thing, when you've owned a business in your local community for years, I was getting my hair trimmed a few days ago, and I'm talking to my hairstylist, and I said something about my restaurant, and she said, "What?" And I said, "Oh, you didn't know I was a restaurateur?" And I started telling her the story because she's like, "No, I haven't heard that one." She knows me through the Chamber of Commerce with David Allen Capital, right? So I was telling that story, and there was a lady in a chair over at the next stylist booth, and she said, "I remember you guys. Y'all had phenomenal food." And I said, "Really?" I said, where did you live? Where were you ordering? She said, "Oh, my business ordered all the time." And she told me the name of it. And I said, "Oh yeah, y'all were right there in the turn on Foster Avenue." And she said, "Exactly." I said, "I remember you guys really well." She said, "Your food was awesome." And I said, "Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate your patronage all of those years." So When people know what you do, they will come. So it's a matter of sharing. So many people get started with DAC and they want to make this business way more difficult than it is. You know, a lot of people don't make it here because they want that quick reward and they don't have the stick to itness to stay long enough to start having success. But I tell you, if you just do a little bit every day to make your business successful, to promote and introduce yourself to another person. I played golf today. It's Monday and I didn't even work today until just before our Zoom. I had an opportunity to play golf. I got out on the golf course. Beautiful day, first beautiful day we've had in 6 weeks that worked with my schedule. And through that golf outing, I met a man who owns his own business. He owns a plumbing business in commercial plumbing. They've got 14 employees. He wants to talk to me about health insurance. And, that was just me introducing myself and telling him what I do. And I did not sell. We just talked and had a good time for 4 hours. And before we left, he said, "Tell me a little bit more about what you do with insurance." Got to talking, but that question came from him, not from me selling, but because I had told him what I have when I asked him what he did. And then throughout our time today, our interaction with each other, um, we had a good rapport. He liked me. I built a trust relationship with him, and now potentially I have a client. That'll lead to the opportunity to do funding down the road too, because their business is growing and expanding. So that's really all we're doing. We're in the people business. David talks about being neighborly, and that's really all our business is about, is being a good neighbor, being an asset in your community. And anytime you run into someone, have an opportunity to meet someone new, do good things, be better, be that person that opens the door and holds the door open for people. Be kind, and it'll come back to you many times over. So I want to get us into slide share mode, go through some quick slides that I have prepared for us as I do each week, and go through a couple of other things. And I don't have a lot for us tonight. We've had so much training information coming at us. I want to be respectful of your time, but I do want to recognize our top recruiters for the week of 2/9 through 2/15. In first place, Ben Randalls. Ben had 5 new recruits for the week. Way to go, Ben. He's getting after it. Second place, we have a new broker. Viral Velocity has 4 new brokers already on their team. So congratulations, Christopher Strong and Mark Match, each tied with 2 new brokers apiece. And to be listed on here, you had to have 2 or more recruits. Many of us had 1, but we don't get named by name if you didn't have 2 or more. So congratulations to our top recruiters. I also want to congratulate the new brokers who have gotten off to a fast start and completed their broker certification in their first 7 days as a DAC broker. That number has gone up 1 from last week. So I want to congratulate Anthony French, Beauty by Biscuit, Sharon Merriweather, Consult Strategies International, Daryl Dove, Guy Laurent, Ivan Becerra, Jennifer Sherlizen, Jesse Dale Anderson Trust, John Streeter, Mario Aguilar, Park Place Collective, Peace and Grind Wellness and Business Center, Stephanie Spear, Terrence Cipriani, and Viral Velocity. So again, congratulations to those brokers who have gotten off to a fast start. I find time and time again that people that get started, get that certification knocked out in the first 7 days, are typically the ones that are going to continue on, get the certification completed, and are already preparing themselves to go have conversations with folks. Okay. A reminder of our weekly Zooms this week. We do not have a special evening Zoom other than our Monday night team Zoom that we do each week. The past 2 weeks, we had something on Tuesday nights. This week, we're back to our normal schedule, Monday through Friday, every day at 11:30. Lines open up at 11:25 Eastern Time. for you to jump on and shout out where you're dialing in from or where you're zooming in from. But we do a 10-minute daily huddle. It's usually about 8 minutes or so. That gets recorded and it's streamed on the DAC YouTube channel. But that conversation typically goes about 30 minutes. So if you could be there live, we really encourage you to do that. There's so much good content that does not get recorded and streamed if you don't get there on that live conversation. And then Friday, that's a longer meeting. We do the huddle, and then we follow it up with broker updates and announcements from our CEO and founder, David Russ. During the week, those huddles are typically led. Today we had David, our founder, but you've also got myself, you got Matt Duhame, his son Nick Duhame, and McGuire Tate from our corporate team as quarterbacks for those huddles. So it's a different conversation and a different slant every day. We create our own content. Nobody puts that out there to tell us what to talk about. It's from our heart and a message that we always want to share. And then, of course, tonight's Zoom. What I want to go into is the March Madness and where to find that. So I'm going to go over to our DAC training page, and this is just the dashboard reminding everyone, if you've gone through certification and you haven't gone back through and looked at the other courses, I encourage you to do that. Also, if it's been a while since you've done broker certification, I encourage you to go back through it. It's been updated a little bit. Plus, whatever your broker certification date is, that gives you a full year on when you have to renew again. So if you are like me, I initially did my broker certification last July. I could take that today and I would be certified and considered an active broker until February of next year. But we got our broker certification. The next really important training after doing certification is right here, this business funding. This training itself takes you through more details about our service, our funding product, but it really dives in on the marketing strategies, what to say to people, and that whole message of getting the word out about our funding products. Okay. And then, of course, we've got our compensation and agency expansion. If you're wanting to build a team, I encourage you to do that. I get questions all the time. One today from someone on my team asking, hey, I was inspired hearing that you had 300 brokers in your first 30 days. How'd you do that? Well, I simply got out of the gate, excited about DAC, and I started inviting people to take a look at what we were doing. I didn't recruit all 300 people myself, and that's the beauty of our team building process. I invited a few, and they invited a few, who invited a few, who invited a few, and everybody was recruiting one or two, or some would recruit 10 people, depending on how big their network was. And at the end of the month, I had 300 people in my organization through that word of mouth growth model that we have on the agency building side. So I encourage you to do those. But what I want you to see today is I want to click on the resources tab here. And on the resources, this is your broker resource center, which both of these are accessible through the DAC back office. When you click on the back office dashboard, on the left-hand side, you've got direct links to the LMS training, the resource center, your print shop, and everything, contact support, everything is accessible through that back office. But here, if you haven't noticed, they've added a DAC Broker March Madness section here. And when you click on that, it opens up and it goes through what March Madness is, does the countdown of how many days, hours, minutes, and seconds are left to be eligible to earn a spot in the top 64 right here. Okay. So this is going to start at the end of the month. We're going to announce the top 64. 10 days later, it's going to get cut in half, and it's going to be cut down to the top 32. Then it's going to get cut in half 10 days later to the top 16. 10 days later, the top 8. 10 days later, the top 4 or the final 4. And then we're going to have our national champion. The way you earn points is all spelled out here on that. There's a flyer on it, but it's also right here in the Resource Center. How do you earn points? Personal production, recruiting a new broker, 5 points. If that new broker gets certified, it makes a total of 50 points for a new certified broker that you personally recruited. New completed funding application, 50 points. This includes Giggle. If a Bank Breezy application gets funded, you get 10% of whatever the bonus revenue is on that funding. That counts towards your qualification there. And if a Giggle application funds, you earn an extra 50 points, just a flat 50 points instead of 10%. So that's how it stacks up. But look, if you go on down, we've got the leaderboard here. And the leaderboard, we have Ben, who is in first place tonight on our team. He's in fourth place for the national competition for the whole company, right? He's got 950 points. So congratulations to Ben to being on the corporate leaderboard. I see Willie Crawford on there. He's on my team. Let's go down the list here. Harlequin, I know you were on there. I'm on there. Mark Manch is on here. Sojourner Dry. Annette Blanchard, Annie Winn. These are all people in my organization. And I don't want to go through the whole thing. I don't want to overlook someone. I saw your name there, Harlequin. But guys, get on the list. Get on the top 25. This is the top 200, I think. No? There's more than 64 on here. But it just shows you where you rank on the national scale there. So make an effort to get in there if you're competitive whatsoever. If you're not, it's okay. This all started on January the 15th. So those of us that were already here had an opportunity to get a little bit of a head start. But I always like that friendly competition. I don't know that I'm going to come in the top of that, but I'll definitely be on the leaderboard for the top 64 cut. And we'll see where it goes from there. It really depends on fundings, because fundings is what's going to put people over the edge on that. All right. Well, that's what I wanted to cover. Harlequin, do you have anything that I didn't touch on that you felt of importance tonight, or do we have people that have questions? You can do the virtual hand raise under reaction at the bottom of the screen. Raise your hand for questions or comments.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything in the chat. And Willie and Ray have their hands raised, so.
I see that. All right, let me get Willie. Hey, Willie, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I had two quick questions. One was, you mentioned the health plan. Is that the same one your insurance agency is for?
So the DAC healthcare that we have, yes, I have
Okay.
that as my personal insurance. But as far as talking to the guy on the golf course today, no,
Yeah.
I would be looking at traditional insurance instead of a health share for him.
Okay. And one of my guys was asking about the DAC healthcare thing. He was asking if that covered pregnancies.
It does.
Okay.
There's a dollar limit. If there's a pre-existing pregnancy, it goes up to $50,000 in coverage. But if there's no pre-existing pregnancy, it does cover that.
Okay. And the second thing is, I retook the certification training just to update my date, but it didn't update. I thought it was a good idea just to go back through it, just to refresh
Yeah.
my own memory now.
It will. Just check that. I don't know what timeline that is. Did you check it this morning?
I filed a support ticket, but
Okay.
yeah, I
Yeah.
did check this morning too. Yeah.
Yep. And it may be something that I know David made that announcement that if you get recertified, that it will automatically extend your
Renewal
active
date.
date in the system, and it may just be something that the programmer didn't catch. So good job. Congratulations on doing that again. And thanks for sending in a support ticket to make them aware of the timeline on it. All right. That's it. Keep up the good work on the recruiting side there. I know you're getting after it.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks, Willie. All right. I'm going to ask Ray to unmute.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
So, last week, this was a question that I asked, and I guess I just wanted more elaboration on it, because I remembered some time ago, it was in regards to a deal that I believe, I can't remember who the broker was, but it was a reference to real estate. And I know Nick explained a little bit of it, but for some reason I thought that with real estate, I thought the only way you can get funding is if it was in reference to if you had a management company. So have they changed it where, real estate investors can use the funding for fix and flip, or is it still the same?
Yeah, no, it's not limited to any particular industry inside the real estate market. The main thing is they just have to be able to meet our revenue requirements. Okay. So they've got to have regular monthly incoming revenue consistently, and they also need to be making at least 3 deposits a month. Okay.
Okay.
So revenue amount, the frequency of deposits are the two number one things that are going to eliminate a lot of real estate. Fix and flip, sometimes they may not have but one big deal every couple of months, and that doesn't give that 3 deposits per month on a month to month basis. So that's where we typically are looking at like real estate landlords, where you've got rental income coming in. But no, it's not limited to just that. And of course, for those of you that are listening in and you hear real estate, most people think, well, are we taking that as collateral? Nope. Nothing we do is collateral based. It's all just strictly revenue based, but they got to meet those minimum requirements.
So even if it's a real estate management company, they can also qualify for the funding if they.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as
Okay,
they've
yeah.
got the revenue and the deposits. Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I would just because when he mentioned it, I guess it kind of confused me because I remember listening to Wade a while back mentioning that, and I just thought it had to be like it, if it was something about fix and flip that they wasn't going to really be able to do much because it's not always a consistency when doing a fix and flip like you said.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And that's the thing. It makes it very difficult for fix and flip because of the consistency. But some of those, they may do fix and flip. They may have rental properties and different things in there. It's just a matter of what money goes into that business checking account. What are the frequency of deposits? Do they meet our monthly minimum revenue of 15,000 or more? And if they check all of those boxes, then they're eligible for funding.
okay.
Mhm.
So my second question, in regards to like getting recertification again. So once you get, if you do the if you want to recertify again, if you've already done it, once you've completed it, you will get another certificate that you can print out, or they just basically just okay.
Yeah, you should. Willie, that'd be a good question for you. I've not gone back through and done recertification. Did it generate a new certification certificate with you and a new certification date?
The certification, the original certificate didn't have a date on it. Mine didn't.
Okay. Mine may not either. I didn't pay attention on that, but
I think mine's did, but I have to look at it again. But I was just wondering if it would
yeah, that's a good
regenerate.
question. I don't know the answer to that one.
Okay, well those are all the questions I got. So
Okay, thank you, Ray. Appreciate your input always.
Thank you.
Hey, Chris, Mr. Got a funding offer out there with a new client. Chris is a new broker, just got started a couple weeks ago, went through certification, and he's already got his first client accepting an offer. How are you doing tonight? You're muted. Hang on a second here. Let me ask you to unmute. There we go.
Okay, doing good. He actually got an offer, and he has to talk to his wife. It's a lower offer, lower than what he wanted, but he's got to talk to his wife. He might do it. He hasn't decided yet, but I'm very happy with the whole process. I'm amazed that he did an application yesterday, got approved today, and they told him he could have the money tomorrow.
Wow.
It's such a hard thing to believe that that's possible. I told a friend of mine that they can get quick funding. He says that's not possible. And I didn't want to argue with him because I was brand new at this and I didn't have any ammunition. But anyway, now I have ammunition. I went back to him. I said, "Hey, this is already working."
Yeah.
But my question is this: is I haven't seen or found a training video that specifically deep dives into following up with clients. In other words, I want to get out and meet clients, but I want to be able to stay in touch with them. I don't want to bother them, but I don't want them to forget about me. I like if I follow up, am I saying hello, I'm still here, or is there a video that goes into that?
Yeah, and I'll tell you where you need to go. Have you gone through the funding training and the certification in the LMS? You
I
did the
think
certification, I know, and then the business funding that I pointed out earlier.
I thought I
Okay.
went through everything.
Okay.
So it sounds like I
Go
must
back
have missed
and look
something.
at that one. And that's a longer video because David does the introduction and all that. But I'll tell you where you want to go for the follow-up process, and that's on the huddle calls. Look
Okay.
at the huddles on DACzoom.com under the podcast list where you've got all the huddles. And Nick Duhame on his huddles, his 8-minute huddles, he is powerful. He was talking about follow up last week and talking about how he reaches back out. But the main thing is that you're just consistently following up, not bugging them. You're not doing it every 2 weeks. It may be once a month, once every 6 weeks. Another great opportunity is when you have not someone, when there's something new that has been released by the company. Like, for instance, we have our February um, promotion for people in the construction space, right? So maybe you talked to some contractors last month and now we've got this special. You'd reach back out to them and say, hey, I know we just talked 3 weeks ago, but I want to bring this to your attention in case you've had an opportunity arise or you do have something arise before the month is out. We've got a great promotion specific to your industry where we've got some reduced rates and really discounted offers there. Just want to make sure you're aware of it. So anytime you can come back to them to um, update them on something new that we've had here, or it may be a seasonal thing, or it may be a holiday, but all of that, Nick does a great job. His dad, Matt Duhame, also does a really good job of talking about what they are actively doing to follow up. If you look at anybody in the company that's doing consistent communication with their customers, I would put Nick and Matt at the top of the list because
Okay.
they are in South America. They don't have the advantage that you and I do of being face to face and out on the golf course with somebody. Everything that they're doing it by phone and by email. So
Oh,
they've got that systematic approach in place to do the follow up. So that'd be a
okay.
good starting point.
Great. Thank you very much, and thanks for your help these past few days.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. And Chris, if you don't mind, I want to share with everybody a little bit deeper dive for those of you guys that are new also. When you get somebody that has started the application process, me, or if you're in Harlequin's team, whoever your upline leader is, we don't see those applications, so we don't know that you've got something in the works unless you let us know, because the way our system is designed, you only see activity from your personal production when it comes to clients. You will see what team production is once a client has completed the process and they've gotten funded, or if it was a healthcare client or ID Protect, you'll see that volume showing up in your back office after the fact, right? But if you're working and you need help, you need to let your upline team know that you want that help, because we don't automatically see it. On the other side of that, when you've got someone in process, we don't see anything about that file. Only the Bank Breezy team does. So what I did with Chris, he let me know he's got a seasonal business that had applied, doing a lot more revenue throughout the year, but right now is their slow season. And by the way, Chris, did they get in some additional documentation to show what their revenue had been? Do you know if
Uh,
that happened?
the additional documentation he needed was he had to get his wife's information in because her name was also on the business. So they asked him for his wife's information. He got it to him, and then they made the offer.
Okay. Yeah. So that's where Chris reached out to me, saying, hey, what do I do? Can we help them if their revenue is down? And it's just a matter of that communication piece. But what I did was I sent an email into Wade over at our Bank Breezy team, and I did an introduction introducing Chris to Wade and saying, and I forwarded the client's information and I said, hey, we've got a seasonal business here. We're going to bring it to your attention. So you might want to look at additional revenue outside of what their last 3 months are. And once we've done that, then you've got the ability to continue on that follow-up, because I promise you, Wade wants to know who you are. If you're out here actively talking to customers, he wants to know who you are as the broker so that he can get a feel for you, whether you're actually meeting and greeting people in person or whether you're doing online marketing and these are strangers that you've never met before. He wants to get a feel for you because they're there to support those of us who are actively working the business, and especially someone like you who's new and you're already out of the gate having conversations with your warm market. This is someone that Chris knew, and that's what we're teaching, and that's really what works the best and sets us apart from all of these other big billion-dollar companies that are spending millions in advertising every year for funding. So,
Hey, Ellen, you want to hear something funny about this
sure.
deal? The friend of mine that I reached out to, I had seen him 2 or 3 weeks prior at a Christmas party. We were talking about his business, and he never mentioned his funding desire, what his business challenges. And I reached out to him 3 weeks later. I said, I just started something. Had I not done that, it's like proof in the pudding that you don't know what your friends, people in your warm market are going through. They don't share that with you openly.
Yeah.
So it was like a couple of weeks difference, and he opened up. He said, "Yeah, I'm looking for something." He said, "I saw all kinds of things on Facebook, but I didn't know anybody and I didn't trust them. But I know you. I've known you for 10 years, so I'll look at what you got." He knew I was brand new. I said, "I've only been doing it a week." And then, when I had questions, you answered them, and I said, "Boy, this lady is sharp. She's been doing this a long time." And we got your back, and that made him more comfortable. So we're off to a good start.
Yeah, that's great. And to reiterate what you said, you saw him during the holidays. You were not already involved with DAC, but you knew he had a business. So after you got started, you followed the training, which is going back to people that you know and saying, hey, I don't know if you know, but I just gotten started with this company that does business funding. If you ever have an opportunity to grow or expand, I just want to make you aware that I'm in the business funding space now. Then that starts conversation, because you said something key there, Chris, about him not saying anything to you at the Christmas party about his struggles or looking for cash, right? Most business owners will never do that. They
Right.
are so proud. They don't want to let anybody know they're struggling. On the outside, it all looks wonderful. And on the inside, they're wondering how they're going to meet payroll on Friday. So that's the point of letting people know what you do, because they are quietly suffering and are out there searching on the internet, searching on Facebook, unless you come to the rescue and say, hey, I don't know if you know, but I've just got started in the business funding space. And then lead them down that path to a safe landing, because we are that with our 20 plus lenders. We're going to find the best offer, and all the lenders in our network are reputable. They are the most trustworthy lenders in the country outside of a local bank. So we've
And
got the
Ellen, I
best
got
thing
to
to
tell
offer.
you, I don't want to take up everybody's time, but I'll tell you, I'm 63 years old. My first network marketing venture was when I was 18. I've been doing this for 40 years, been in dozens of companies. I was a secret agent in all of them. I made a couple of bucks. I spent way more than I ever made. And the beauty of this company is they don't want your money to get started. They don't want any of your money. They don't want the customer's money if they can't help them. They don't want money unless they're giving value to somebody else. And I've never seen that in my 40 years with dozens of companies. I was always asking friends to dig into their pockets, and I hated it. And now I can talk to people and I say, listen, we don't make a dime before you make a dollar. You got nothing
Yeah,
to lose. You can go through the entire training program for free, and if you decide you don't want to do it, you haven't lost anything but your time.
that's
It's
right.
beautiful.
That's right. Exactly. And I'm so glad you shared that story because so many people have been in the same shoes that you explained. Having wanted an opportunity to work from home, wanted to have that freedom and that lifestyle that we hear when we see that pitch of a direct selling or network marketing company, or in the real estate space or in the insurance space. People that have had tremendous success, they're always telling the dream, right? But most people are spending the money, and that's why DAC exists. I hope if you haven't already, David's got a great testimonial on the story of how he got started. And I think it's on that 10-year story that I have at the bottom of my emails where he talks about how he was making money and selling those packages. And somebody presented to him one night, man, I don't know how you can sleep at night knowing that people are spending money with you and they're never going to make their money back because most people don't. And that really got him to thinking, and that's where he decided to create a free opportunity, not DAC firsthand. It was the free network, which was his telecommunications company. But that's why we're here, so that if you come in and get started, the only thing that you have risked or invested is the time that it took to decide whether DAC was going to be a fit or not. So thanks for your comments on that. I got Willie with
Ellen,
a hand up.
Ellen, one quick thing. Chris, you mentioned that you have another friend who's saying, oh, you can't get money that quickly. My personal record, I got money for a truck driver who was broken down in 2.5 hours.
Wow.
From the time he applied until he had the money in his bank account. And I've also had a client get $300,000 in their account in less than 24 hours. And it would have been the same day, except they accidentally sent two of the same bank statement and left the office before it was discovered. So they had to go back to the office later that day and send the correct documentation. But
Easy.
the money it comes in quickly with Giggle. It's within 15 minutes of them getting finally approved. So
Wow.
yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yep. Thanks for
That's
sharing that.
fast.
All
You
right, let's go
mentioned
back to
that
Willie.
he follows up with some people. Does he follow up with all of the people from like Bank Breezy, but not Giggle, or how does that work?
I'm sorry, I missed the very first couple of things that you said.
Wade mentioned that if you notice an applicant is stalled, that he follows up with some of them. Is that something we need to request from him?
No, the stalled applicants, those are the ones that are coming in where they started an application and didn't move on to the next step. They have a team in place now in the corporate side of the house that's following up on stalls. But as a broker, when you see the email sequence that you're receiving, if you go back, a great way to review that is to go to the let me go over back to the resource center here. I'll show everybody that's on here. So we're in the resource center. If you go to the business funding tab, this first thing here is the quick reference sheet, okay? And when you get to that quick reference sheet, open up, come on, and look at whatever product. So you get that initial email and it tells you whether they went to Giggle or Bank Breezy. Then let's say they're at Bank Breezy. Here is status updates and troubleshooting, the last third section of that page. It says if you do not get the second email, completed application, you want to reach out to the client to see if they are still interested. So it tells you on those quick reference sheets exactly where it's time for you to intervene and reach out to the client yourself. So great question there, Willie. Thanks for asking that.
Thank you.
You bet. All right. Anybody with anything else before we wrap up?
Yeah, Ellen, hey,
Yeah.
it's me, Lauren. Thank you.
Hey,
I'm
Lauren.
new. I
Yeah.
just got certified over the weekend.
Woohoo! Awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I appreciate your follow-up and your emails. I did see your email that you got like 300 people your first month, but I didn't really see or hear your story of how you managed to do that and accomplish that.
Yeah, so we were talking about that a little bit ago. So It was really just me getting out of the gate. The day that I saw DAC, if you read my first email where I was introducing myself with my background as a restaurateur, I've been in business since 1997, and I was that business owner that needed working capital when I was opening my second location. I was able to borrow most of what I needed from the bank, but just like today's funding story, where David was talking about a Mexican restaurant who got money from the bank, but they needed additional capital to be able to finish out their build out on their third location. That was my story. And I ended up pulling money out of my 401k. I drained my 401k and my savings account. So when I heard the DAC story and how we're helping small businesses get working capital, it just was like a light bulb went off for me. So I saw it, I knew it, I'd been in that business owner's shoes, I knew the need for what we had. And then I immediately turned around and I reached out to the first person I reached out to was a friend of mine who also was a business owner. He had just asked me that very same day, he had sent me a request to like his Facebook page, right? We get those all the time. Somebody's asking you to like this, like that. Well, it was a business page, and he was promoting some B2B services. And I had gone in, and the minute I saw the presentation, I'm going, I need to let Glenn know about this. So I went back over to Glenn and I sent him a message through Messenger, and I said, hey, Glenn, you asked me to like your Facebook page. I did that. By the way, I was looking around and I see that you're marketing business to business services. I just ran across an opportunity today that might be a great fit with what you're currently doing. Are you open to taking a look at it? That's almost exactly what I said, right? And he said, sure, what you got? That was his response. Well, I sent him the link to the David Allen Capital /partner /my ID number. I sent him that page. He watched the presentation. Now, this was almost 8 years ago. The presentation was different than it is today, but it was, the basic same information. He watched it, and in 30 minutes he's reaching back out on phone, and he said, hey, I watched that presentation. This is pretty exciting, but I got some questions. And I said, well, I just got started. I don't know anything. Let me get somebody on the phone that knows the right answer. So it's what we teach you guys, right? I turned around and I called my enroller. They were pretty new, so they introduced me to their enroller. She had been around for a long time, and I had a three-way call going. Before the end of the day, we had David Rutz on the phone. He was driving somewhere, and they connected us to David because they knew that with my business experience that I was a builder and had the ability to build large teams. So they kind of ran it up the flagpole and got David on the phone. But I was doing three-way calls. Then he got excited. He signed up some people. We were doing three-way calls with them, and I started inviting more people. But it's just one person got excited. They invited a few who got excited, who invited a few who got excited, and there in 30 days we had 300 people on the team. So that's really all
Wow.
it is. And
Quickly went
when
viral
y'all
like
see
that.
me and hear me talking about DAC, I'm
Nice.
excited. I'm genuinely excited about this
Yeah,
business. And I
I can
think
tell.
that's one of the things that really is the door opener when it comes to having conversations with people. Because if you call and say, hey, I just got started with this little thing, and want to see if you're open to making money outside of what you're currently doing. If you're doing it kind of in a nonchalant way, then they're going, yeah, not right now. But if you do it and going, hey, I just ran across something that I'm really excited about. I want to see if you're open to making money outside of what you're currently doing. It won't take you but a few minutes. It may or may not be a good fit for you, but I'd love to send you some information. And when they hear that natural excitement in your voice, they're going, well, I want some of whatever's got you so excited, right? And
Yeah.
that's where you
Um,
can open doors on the opportunity there. So that's how it goes.
thanks, Ellen.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for your comments, Lauren, and welcome to the team. Thanks for going in and getting certified so quickly. All right, anybody else before we wrap up? Harlequin, I see you smiling.
Okay. It didn't
There you
want
are.
to mute for me. Yeah, of course I'm smiling. Everybody's happy tonight. And I do know just there's a couple of people who joined us really late. Just to let you know, we do start at 9 p.m. Eastern, so you can go back and watch the replay. Ellen will be sending that out later this evening.
Yeah, I'll send it out in about 10 minutes of us ending here. So, all right. Well, no more questions or comments. We'll wrap up. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate your time. Appreciate your commitment to yourself first, and then what you're working towards here with DAC. And just hope that you'll plug into the Zooms that we have available every day. There's great nuggets of information on our huddles. If you can't be there because you're working a full-time job, which many of you are, and I understand that, go back and watch the replay at the end of the day. It'll keep you motivated, keep you plugged in, and give you some great ideas on how you can grow your business. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a blessed evening. Take care.